Eating healthy doesn't mean your food has to be boring or taste like a piece of cardboard. If you're one of those people running away from mass-produced breads, this recipe is just right for you. We are making a multi-grain and multi-seed bread today. Let's begin. So for this recipe, I'm using a mixture of all-purpose flour and 5-grain flour. So this is my maida and multigrain flour. You can use any kind that you like. Next, I'm adding instant yeast to one side of the bowl. Next, I'm adding in salt and sugar. And these are all our dry ingredients. Let's mix them together. Just a light mix is enough. Now here's a secret. To make my breads absolutely soft, I use a tablespoon of homemade yogurt in my breads. So I'm just going to add it while making my dough. And I'm adding some warm water to activate the yeast and to make this dough. Now I'm just going to go in with my fingers and bring this all together. You can also use 100% whole wheat flour or multigrain flour, but you'll have to change the measurement of the water and use a little more dahi to keep it soft. Otherwise, your bread can turn out a little dense. Now let's just knead this. Depending on the quality of your flour or its age, you may need more or less water. So always keep a tablespoon or two handy. Now that my dough has come together, I'm going to take it out on my surface and keep kneading this. This is the most important step of making bread at home. You have to knead it just right. You have to make sure that the dough is nice and supple. Otherwise, your bread will not rise properly or it may tear while proofing. Using warm water while making your bread is important so that your yeast activates while your bread is kneading. This way, your proofing time will also reduce. The best part about making breads at home is that you know exactly what's going into your bread. None of those hard to pronounce ingredients. Kneading doesn't mean you have to play with your bread dough just like that. This is how you properly knead. So first, take your dough, turn it into a rectangular shape. Irregular is fine. Start folding it into 1/3, then 1/3 again. Turn it around 90 degrees and then keep repeating. When you keep doing this over and over again, you'll get faster at it. I have been kneading my bread dough for 5 minutes. If you notice, it is smooth from one side, but it also has a few cracks here and there, which means it's still not ready and we need to keep kneading it. Here's how you can tell if your dough is ready. First of all, you will have a very smooth skin all over. Test it with your finger. This dough should bounce back. Once you have reached this stage, it's time to add butter to our bread. If you leave out butter from your bread, it will turn out dry and crumbly. So don't skip on this step. You can even use oil instead of butter. Now it's just a matter of incorporating the butter in your dough. So the reason that we knead the dough first without butter is so that gluten strands stay nice and strong and they form very properly. Once you add butter, these gluten strands will weaken and as you bake the bread will give it a delicious taste and a nice crumb. Otherwise, your bread will turn out very crumbly if you forget to add any kind of fat to it. Now that the butter is properly incorporated, my dough is nice and soft, softer than before. So now it's time to bulk ferment this. Press it down and cover it with a damp cloth. I'm sure your next question is going to be, how long should I proof or ferment this dough? There's no straight answer to this. You have to proof it till it doubles in size. That's it. Our dough has doubled in size. I'm going to use a little bit of flour so that my dough doesn't stick to my hands. And now time to punch this. We're releasing all the gases that have been formed. Now I'm going to turn this multigrain bread into multigrain plus multi-seed bread. Just going to add in some seeds here. I'm using a mixture of 5 seeds. I have sunflower seeds, melon seeds, flax seeds, sesame seeds and pumpkin seeds. Now I'm just going to mix this up. I'm just going to mix this a couple of times and turn it into a log. Now I'm just going to flatten this and cover it with lots of seeds. Now I'm just going to press these in so that they don't fall off while baking. Just turn it around once again and flatten your dough. The seeds will stick right to it. Now that the top portion is completely covered with seeds, I'm going to press it from the bottom. Now I'm going to place this in my loaf pan. If you don't have one of these, don't worry. You can just free bake the loaf as it is. Press this down. If your seeds refuse to stick to the bread dough, don't worry. Just brush a little bit of water. As the bread rises, the seeds will stick to it. Now it's time to proof this for the second time. Again till it doubles in size. So I'm just going to cover it and let it rest. My bread dough has doubled in size once again. This is properly proofed. It looks absolutely gorgeous right now with all these different colors of the seeds. It has trapped in a lot of air and I'm sure this is going to give me a soft bread. And here's where people usually go wrong. They don't proof their bread enough for the second time. And that's when they're not trapping all those gases within the loaf. And that's when you get a dense loaf. We are good to go. Now it's time to bake this at 200 degrees Celsius for 15 to 18 minutes. There's something magical about freshly baked bread. It smells so good. Our bread is properly baked and has a nice and brown crumb. You can immediately unmold this, and that is the best part about making breads. Be careful, your pan will be hot. Just take a palette knife and you can just release it once. My bread has already released from all sides, so now I'm going to unmold this. Be careful, your loaf pan will be hot. And now I will let this cool completely. If you go to cut this bread right now, it won't cut into neat slices and also it will be too acidic to eat. So make sure your bread is cooled completely before you consume it. My bread has cooled down completely. Let's slice through and have a look inside. I hope you got to learn a lot about making breads at home with this recipe. I urge you to go and try this multigrain bread out at home. I assure you it will turn out as soft as this one and healthy too. Until then, keep baking. I'll see you next Sunday.